Hey there, I'm an animated Connor Walsh, which is kind of ironic because people say I'm pretty animated in real life. Anyway, welcome to Walsh Wednesday, my new/old podcast. Let me explain. Back in high school in 2013, I was pressured by some friends to do an impromptu solo acoustic performance in my cafeteria. Believe it or not, people really took to it. And it turned into a monthly musical series I did through the rest of high school. Who said High School Musical wasn't realistic? By college, I turned Walsh Wednesday into a web series, focusing on interviews surrounding community events, charities, and local entertainment in the Hudson Valley and Capital regions of New York. Walsh Wednesday spawned several spin-offs such as the Walsh Wednesday Concert Series, Walsh Wednesday Spotlights, and Walsh Wednesday The Reflective Series before its hiatus in 2021. After that, I spent the last 3 years working in radio, honing my craft, conducting unbelievable interviews, traveling to fascinating places, attending mind-blowing events, and meeting some of my personal heroes. Now, with the help of some awesome people I've met along the way, I'm bringing Walsh Wednesday back bigger and better than ever. Let's stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time. Welcome to Walsh Wednesday. On this week's episode, we have the return of our friend Meg Boyce from the Hudson Valley Chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. She brings us the latest news from this year's Alzheimer's Association International Conference. Along with that, we talk about the Hudson Valley's Walk to End Alzheimer's 2025 happening this October and their latest celebrity endorsement. Thank you to our Walsh Wednesday All-Stars, all of those who have generously contributed to the Walsh Wednesday 2025 Fund Drive. You can see the list of names on screen or in the description of this episode. And of course, thank you to our Walsh Wednesday Warriors, Jim Robinson, John Newhall, Meg Boyce, and Jenna Hess. These individuals have pledged $100 or more to Walsh Wednesday for 2025, either through the GoFundMe or our Patreon. This episode of Walsh Wednesday is brought to you by Impact PR and Communications, MHA of Dutchess County, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education of Dutchess County Incorporated, Dayrock, Locks That Rock Hair Design, A Touch of Naples Pizza and Pasta, Dutchess Beer Distributors, Feldman, Kleiman, Collins & Sape LLP, Attorneys at Law, Tonka Williams on Aortic Health Awareness, and Walsh Valuation. Hey there, and welcome back to Walsh Wednesday. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and we got a great episode for you guys today. With us, we have a friend that you've seen before on the program, Meg Boyce from the Alzheimer's Association. They have some new studies and findings that just came out last week of recording and last week of airing this. That doesn't always happen.
No.
So we have with us again, Meg Boyce to talk about all those new findings, plus some upcoming events with the Alzheimer's Association in Hudson Valley. So Meg, how are you?
I'm doing great, Connor. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And here in the new space, of course, you guys can't tell, but we can tell. It's nice.
Beautiful.
It's fun. We also got some backlighting and some extra drapes. Hopefully you'll be able to check that out. But the main thing that we want to check out is all the things going on with the Alzheimer's Association. And for those who aren't familiar with the Alzheimer's Association or haven't checked out any of our previous episodes, could you just give a brief overview to kind of catch everybody up?
So the Alzheimer's Association is really here in the community to support families that are dealing with any form of dementia. Does not have to be Alzheimer's disease. The actual name of our organization is Alzheimer's Disease and Related Disorders Association, but that's quite a mouthful.
That is.
So we support families dealing with vascular dementia, which is the stroke-related, Lewy body, frontal temporal dementia, Lyme-related because of where we live. And we have a lot of services in order to guide family members. You know, any form of dementia is a very different journey, and we are there to support families through this journey. We have wonderful support groups that families say are their lifeline. We have trainings for caregivers. We have trainings for people who've been diagnosed. We have support groups for people who've been diagnosed. We have our 24-hour helpline, which is 1-800-272-3900. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have master level social workers who are there to answer questions. We know caregiving is not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
No.
And usually families need us at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so we are there for them to guide them through whatever difficulties they're having in their caregiving role, and really there as they continue through the journey.
Absolutely. And the work that you guys do is terrific. And as somebody who's had family members who have gone through it, you know, my grandfather passed away with it 3 years ago, and my grandmother just passed away only a few weeks ago, and they dealt with it for years. This is something that's very personal to me. It's very personal to you, and I'm sure a lot of the new studies and findings that we have are just going to help people along the line, whether they currently have it, whether it's a potential for the future. There's a lot we're probably going to learn today. So tell us, where's this even coming from? Where is all the new information coming from? How did all of this come out all at once last week?
So last week was the Alzheimer's Association International Conference. So this is the largest convening of researchers from all over the world. So we had researchers from 162 countries.
That's impressive.
And they all met in Toronto last week. And it is an opportunity for researchers to connect, to get the most updated information. And of course, then we disseminate it out to the communities so that they are better educated and they learn about, like, how can I potentially prevent it?
Yeah.
Also, what are some of the causes of developing some form of dementia? So a lot of research was introduced last week that's brand spanking new. That
Exclusives.
Yes, it is exclusives because not all of it made it into the general media.
Okay.
So that's where all of this is coming from. And AAIC happens every year. So next year it's in London.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, nice.
I know. I don't get to go though. But anyway, it's amazing how far we've come in research and where we are now compared to, I've been with the organization over 25 years and how far we have come in just the last 7 to 10 years is just, it's tremendous.
No,
so
that's
very
awesome.
Exciting. It's definitely a time for hope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what kind of stuff was, what kind of stuff came out of this, and what are you interested and excited about talking about out of it?
So you'll have to excuse me. I'm not a reader, but
it's all good. No, it's
I like
fresh.
talking off the cuff. But yeah, it is so fresh.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of gaining knowledge. So every day, it started last Sunday, and it went from last Sunday to last Thursday. And every morning, there was one big story that was released. So the story that was released on Sunday was actually in regards to lead pollution.
Interesting. Yeah.
And basically, historic levels of atmospheric lead from the era of leaded gasoline may contribute to cognitive decline 50 years later. So basically, historic levels of atmospheric lead from the era of leaded gasoline may contribute to cognitive decline 50 years later, according to this research. And it was an analysis of over 600,000 individuals aged 65 and older, linked early life environmental lead exposure to memory problems later in life. So, thinking about how we used to live and were there any issues with how we used to live that might have been involved in our cognitive decline. So
not just like the lead gas, but the use of lead paint, that wasn't outlawed all that long ago either.
No, I think the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. And you're talking about a 50-year gap here. If we're still looking like 60s, 70s time frame, that's around the same time as well. And if it was outlawed at that time, just think of how long it's just stuck around just because other products and various things constantly had it as well. So there's a lot of lead everywhere. You have to be worried about that. Even school districts still have to worry about having lead in their water. Yeah. Yeah. So you have that. So yeah, sorry. I thought of that when you mentioned it.
So they said that people who grew up in areas with moderate to extremely high atmospheric lead levels from 1960 to 1974 were 20% more likely to report memory problems as adults 50 years later. And of course, living nearer to a higher level of lead polluting sites increased the forms of dementia.
Oh, wow.
That were connected to that. So that was a very interesting study that came out.
Yeah, obviously lead poisoning can contribute to a lot of things, but just adding another thing that it unfortunately can do. I find it interesting the way that lead has contributed to the populace over the generations, because if you look back on certain behaviors and certain things, like even hundreds of years ago, be like, you know what, that was probably this and this and this, and going back to it, heard a lot of stories of even in ancient times, mercury and lead poisoning just from what they were eating off of. And that led to a lot of disarray and senility and things along those lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And we're going to see more and more of that in regards to, as you said, the leaded gas, lead paint, lead, whatever. Fascinating. Yes. Okay. So that was the first day, you said.
That was the first day.
So we got more to go.
So the second day was a really exciting day for those of us who are really interested in biomarkers. So biomarkers are ways of indicating if somebody's going to be at risk for something. So that's why when you go and you get your annual physical, you know how you have the fasting blood test. And of course, they have you fast because they want to see what your insulin levels are to see if you could be pre-diabetic. And then, of course, we have on our blood panel several panels that look just at cholesterol to see if we are in danger of having high cholesterol.
Yeah.
So we now have an FDA-cleared blood-based biomarker that at this time is being used for testing purposes. So it's not like I can go to my doctor right now and say, can I have the blood test to see if I have Alzheimer's? This is now an added tool to physicians' toolkits in order to properly diagnose someone. And so what this blood-based biomarker does is it can actually pick up if somebody has increases of the beta amyloid protein or the tau protein, which are the two proteins that we all have in our brain. But people with Alzheimer's disease have more of those proteins.
Interesting. Okay.
And so it's a tool right now because they want to continue to study it before it becomes part of our blood panel when we go to get our annual physical. The other reason is we just want to make sure that if somebody were to have high levels of beta amyloid and tau, what would be the process to move forward in order to keep that person healthy. And so I have some exciting news later that I'm going to talk about that will be probably a discussion that physicians will start having with their patients that there's a concern of memory loss.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
So that was really exciting.
So with these biomarkers, how soon does it look that would become a part of a regular physical? Like how quick will that start being instituted into things?
That's a great question. Yeah. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that a test is not going to be giving false positives or false negatives.
Yeah.
And so we're very careful in making sure that a tool is really a really good indicator. Right now, they're saying it's about 90% accurate when compared to either a PET scan or some kind of scan of the brain and cerebral spinal fluid. So maybe in the next 7 years.
Gotcha. 90% doesn't sound bad. 90% sounds pretty good.
No.
I've heard other things that have gone out there with way lower percentages.
I know. Yes.
So 90%, that's not bad.
It is not. No, but we just would want to be careful.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that it's a test that if I, at some point in the next 7 to 10 years, if it was added to my blood panel and it came up that, yes, I'm at risk for developing Alzheimer's, and this is specific to Alzheimer's, by the way. This is not going to be picking up any of the other forms of dementia because it's looking specifically at the hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease.
Gotcha.
There are tests that we are looking at that will help in diagnosing some of the other forms of dementia, like Lewy body, frontal temporal dementia. But this one has just kind of caught a little more quickly.
Interesting. Okay. And that's good to know the difference. Yes. As you said, there are over like 17 different kinds of dementia. So
yeah,
it's good to know when you're going in for that you're specifically going in for Alzheimer's in that case.
Exactly.
Because, it's like the thumbs and fingers and thumbs thing. Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, but not all dementia is Alzheimer's.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people who just use the terms interchangeably without fully understanding. So definitely the awareness on the different kinds and also knowing when you are getting checked, what am I getting checked for?
Right.
So that's very important. Awesome. So I see you moved ahead to Tuesday now.
Yes.
So let's look at Tuesday.
So unfortunately for us women, 2/3 of people diagnosed with Alzheimer's are women.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And at one point, we all thought it was because we just lived longer than men, but it's a much bigger picture than that. So
Okay.
there's a lot of different studies that are looking at why women are at an increased risk. So is it hormonal? A woman's body goes through so many more changes than a man's body.
Yeah.
We after you go through puberty later in life, then you're premenopausal, then you're menopausal, then you're postmenopausal, and
It's a lot.
like we're just constantly changing our hormones, our estrogen levels. Everything is always kind of in flux. So that's being looked at. But there was a study that actually looked at two different studies that looked at sex-based differences in the brain. And the first was actually in regards to traumatic brain injury. So when somebody has a traumatic brain injury, they are at a much higher risk for developing dementia later on in life. But what they found was that findings suggest that traumatic brain injury may have a different effect on the brain of females than for males, resulting in more volume loss for females.
Interesting.
So it seems that a brain injury impacts a female's brain differently than a male's brain. And the brain regions that demonstrated volume loss in female participants with traumatic brain injury are those that also show volume loss in Alzheimer's and other dementias.
Fascinating. That's
Yes.
interesting. And now, something that came into my mind as you're saying this, when you're saying traumatic brain injury, is like, oh, that's not where I thought this was going. Are there certain things also with women's anatomy or just timelines or anything that may potentially worsen or even cause a traumatic brain injury that wouldn't so happen with a man?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I almost feel like men are at a higher risk because of the sports they play.
I know. That's the thing. We're a lot more, physical in that
Yeah.
sense. But I'm just curious if there was anything more, I don't know, just kind of more day to day that could potentially cause something that, or internal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I'm no doctor.
I'm no doctor either.
It was just the first thing that popped into my head thinking about that. But that's interesting, though, about the traumatic brain injury. I feel like I have so many questions in regards to that, but I don't know how to verbalize everything. That is fascinating, though.
Yeah, and I just think I don't think women are at a higher risk for traumatic brain. It's just when they do have a brain injury, it has a very different impact on the brain than on a male's brain. And then the second study was looking at chemo brain.
Yes. Yep.
And for those of you who don't know, sometimes when somebody's receiving chemotherapy, where it may have to go through the head, they are at risk for developing what's called chemo brain. But what this study looked at were women who had breast cancer.
Okay.
And the chemo that they received for the breast cancer increased their chemo brain. But what happened was they didn't come back to their normal cognitive level prior to developing chemo brain.
Interesting.
So there seems to be that correlation between breast cancer and a higher rate of chemo brain. But also there seems to be this issue where even after the chemo is done, and the chemo brain usually fades over time, for some reason, women, the cognition does not come back.
And unlike the lead story that you talked about earlier, how that's kind of like 40, 50 years later, and that's something over time.
Yeah.
This is something that you see relatively immediately in that case. That's not something like, 40, 50 years after chemo. No, you're talking about like after chemo's done, once you're in recovery, you're seeing that you're not bouncing back the way that you should mentally. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So that was very interesting.
That's fascinating, actually. It's funny because a number of the things that you're saying specifically on women, I always thought it was the other way around for some reason.
You thought men were at a higher risk.
I thought men were at a higher risk, and I thought not just men were at a higher risk, but I also figured men had a harder time with memory post any kind of treatment, just based on what I've seen in my life.
Right.
So I just assumed it was more men related, but no, it's fascinating to hear that, you said with women, that's two-thirds. That's ridiculous. And then what you're saying about these extra treatments as well, that women are more prone to it. I don't know, just based on my experiences, I would not have assumed that.
And, it's interesting because it's different in other parts of the world. So there are some countries where men are at a higher risk than women.
Interesting.
But in the US, 2/3 are women.
Huh.
So it's not a global statistic. It depends on the country. And don't ask me which country where men are at higher risk, because I can't remember. But it's not the same globally.
Okay, that opens up a big
Another can of worms.
Is that something that was talked about later, or is that something we need to have an later further discussion
Yeah, we'll have to have a later further discussion. I have to do some research on that.
Interesting.
But yeah, when I became a research champion for the Alzheimer's Association, I really dug in a little deeper on the research aspect. And when I saw that 2/3 of women in the US were at a higher risk, I was just curious, is that a global statistic? And it isn't. There are countries, there's pockets where men were at a higher risk than women.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, not a doctor, so I'm just making assumptions, but obviously it's very clear that the Americans' way of life is very different than many countries.
Oh, please. I'm going to be talking about that.
Oh, I'm sure, between, general lifestyle to food to medicine to all that. So
yes,
honestly, it's kind of hard to just pick one thing to say why it might be. That's fascinating, though. And pause. We're going to take a quick break from our interviews to hear from our sponsors. First up, we got our friend Andrew O'Grady from MHA of Dutchess County.
Adversity and stress. How do you cope? I'm dealing with a voice issue right now, my own adversity and stress. So let's use AI Andy for the rest of this message. Take it away, AI Andy.
This is Andrew O'Grady, CEO at MHA of Dutchess County. We all move on a scale of mental wellness. It can shift minute by minute, hour by hour, based on what we face. What happens when it piles on? How do you cope? Do you turn to the bottle or vape? Do you medicate with pills not prescribed for that purpose? Do you become short-tempered and argue with others? Are you quick to road rage? These are self-defeating and negative reactions, and they're unhealthy and can lead to self-inflicted further stress. There's no shame in seeking to improve you by engaging in self-care with a therapist. If you do not know where to start, talk to your primary care physician. You can always contact Mental Health America of Dutchess County at 845-473-2500, and if we don't have a specific program to help you, we will help guide you to one.
Thanks, AI Andy. You sound pretty good.
Thanks, Andrew and AI Andy. Next, we have a message from our friend Jeff Feldman from Feldman, Kleiman, Collins & Sape, LLP, attorneys at law.
Hi, I'm Jeff Feldman. In 1986, when Paul Kleidman and I started our practice, our goal was to create a law firm where you could meet with an attorney and feel confident that that attorney would be with you every step of the way. Today, the firm has been successfully trying cases at all levels of state and federal courts throughout the Hudson Valley and Capital District. We have been selected as one of the best personal injury and medical malpractice defense law firms by U.S. News and World Report every year since 2009. For all of those years, we were the only firm chosen in any litigation specialty between Albany and White Plains. Your case is important to us. Giving you the time and personal attention you deserve has always been the hallmark of success. Initial consultations are free of charge and always with an attorney.
September will be Aortic Disease Awareness Month. To prepare us for September, we have a message from nurse leader and health advocate, Tonka Williams.
Peace and blessings, family. I am Tonka Williams, a proud Black woman, a nurse, and your advocate for cardiovascular health and wellness. We're going to talk about something that's quietly claiming the lives of too many of us in the Black community: aortic disease. The aorta is your body's largest artery. When it weakens or tears, it's just not a health issue. It's an emergency. And the painful truth, many of us have never heard of it before. And if we have, we don't always know the signs or how to protect ourselves. That ends today. This isn't just about personal health. It's about protecting our families and building a future where our people thrive. Advocacy is our inheritance. Learn the signs. Get your pressure checked. Ask your doctor about your aortic. Talk to your family. This is how we protect our legacy. My heart, my health, my power. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay here with us. Thank you, and may you walk in health, purpose, and power.
For additional information, please visit the John Ritter Foundation website, johnritterfoundation.org. And please check out the full video at Tonka Williams' YouTube channel at Tonka Williams-aortic-awareness. Up next, we have our friend Philomena Finelli from Impact PR and Communications.
Thanks, Connor. I'm Philomena Finelli, CEO of Impact PR and Communications and a media maven, which is a fancy way of saying that my team and I help companies get in the news, transform leaders into thought leaders, and cut through the clutter with messaging that matters. And we do it all with a smile. Our agency was named the Woman-Owned Small Business of the Year for 2024 by the Metro New York District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we received the Gold Stevie Award for Women-Run Workplace of the Year, which is an international recognition. But it's not about the awards, it's about the personal interactions. We at Impact PR and Communications pride ourselves on crafting meaningful, results-driven public relations campaigns that are tailored to meet and exceed our clients' goals. If you want to learn more and talk to my team and I, visit prwithimpact.com and let us know that you found out about us from Walsh Wednesday.
Now for a quick word from Duchess Beer Distributors. Throughout the month of August, Duchess Beer Distributors, in collaboration with Stella Artois, is hosting the Mid-Hudson Valley's Perfect Serve Shuffleboard Showdown. Visit one or more of Duchess Beer Distributors' pop-up promotions to play games and win prizes at some of your favorite restaurants and bars in Dutchess and Ulster counties. You can see the list of locations in the description of this episode. Thanks for listening, guys. It's time to get back to the show. And play. This episode of Walsh Wednesday is brought to you by Impact PR and Communications, MHA of Dutchess County, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education of Dutchess County Incorporated, Dayrock, Lockset Rock Hair Design, A Touch of Naples Pizza and Pasta, Duchess Beer Distributors, Feldman, Kleiman, Collins, and Sape LLP, Attorneys at Law, Tonka Williams on Aortic Health Awareness, and Walsh Valuation. All right, yeah, so on my favorite day of the week, Wednesday, here we go.
So Wednesday, it was looking at the SNAP Food Assistance Program.
Oh, wow.
And they found that participants who participated in the SNAP Food Assistance Program had slower cognitive decline because they had access to foods, which will be my last discussion. And what they said was that people who participated in the U.S. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program had slower decline over 10 years than non-participants, according to this new research.
See, that's very interesting because now I'm not an expert on SNAP by any means. I talked to somebody who was back when I was at the radio station, and I wish I could remember all the things we talked about. But if I'm not wrong, SNAP does focus more on real foods, right?
Yes.
And I think that just says it right there.
Yes.
The fact of having real foods instead of gravitating towards other things or the more processed. Not to say that there aren't processed things that you can get through SNAP, but the fact that, it's real foods.
That's it.
Which is fantastic. And, that's something I promote. I know a lot of other people will promote that. And I know it's difficult to also get, the more organic or the real foods. And then you got to think about the preparation of the food, the time cooking the food, how much can last when you're talking about produce or you're talking about getting the various meats. Do you have a good freezer for it? Will you be able to use the vegetables or fruit before it goes bad? There are a lot of things that go with it and a lot of portions of it that kind of scare away a number of people.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can get into that groove of eating real food,
yes,
it can make a real difference.
It's a huge difference, which, great segue.
Great segue. Let's go.
Okay. The final and the biggest release.
Interesting.
Was the release of the results of the U.S. Pointer Study.
Okay.
So the U.S. Pointer Study is the largest lifestyle study that has ever been done.
Mm.
It's actually part of a much larger study called the Worldwide Fingers Study. So there are 62 countries that are looking at lifestyle as a way of potentially preventing the development of any form of dementia. And so what this study looked at was diet, primarily the MIND diet. So the MIND diet is a combination of the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet. The DASH diet was a diet that I think the Heart Association developed when hypertension became a big issue in the community. And so there was a researcher that combined those two diets. So it was the MIND diet, it was exercise, sleep, socialization, and being social.
Yeah.
And it was broken into two groups. And these were groups of individuals that were either at risk for developing dementia. So they might have other chronic illnesses. So every chronic illness they got another point that, yes, they should be in the study. So other chronic illnesses that put us at an increased risk is diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and cardiac issues. So the participants in this study already had a number of things against them in regards to their cognitive well-being. And then they were split into two groups. And one group was a very structured group. So they had a health coach. They met 37 times over the 2 years virtually. They were given a very strict regimen. So basically, they were given menus for every day. They were given exercise regimes for every day. And the other group, it was basically, here's a handbook. You choose what you want to do. I think they met 7 times in 2 years. So they didn't have the same supports as the other group. The outcome was both groups benefited from the interventions. However, the structured group, everybody's memory improved.
Improved. Not only like maintained, but improved. Wow. Okay.
And their brains aged backwards by like 2 to 3 years. And these individuals now are going to be followed. I think it might be both groups, because we want to see longitudinally. So long term, we're looking at maybe 5 or 6 years. These same individuals are going to be observed for 10 more years to see if their brains continue to get younger.
Wow.
Or at least their brains continue to function at a very high level.
Nice.
So we were really excited about the outcomes of this particular study, because now this is something that we can work with our Department of Health on trying to come up with what can be like a community plan, because we know that there are food deserts.
Yeah.
We know that we have pockets where the kids are running to the corner deli to get a bag of chips and a soda, and instead of getting an apple and a bottle of water, because that's not as easily accessible.
Yeah.
So a lot more to come on that. And I should say that will be more being released. December 1st, there will be a release of an additional study that's looking at lifestyle factors. So this really is a very exciting time. This is going to give physicians and neurologists additional information to provide to their patients on this is what you can do to change the trajectory of developing some form of dementia.
Yeah.
It was just one little side note. They actually had a woman who was in the very structured group, and her name was Sharon, and she presented at AAIC, and she talks about Sharon BP. So Sharon before the Pointer study, and Sharon AP, Sharon after the Pointer study. And she said once she was on this study, she lost 30 pounds.
Wow.
She was no longer pre-diabetic. She got off her high blood pressure medication, and she got off her high cholesterol medications.
Wow.
And she said she is the healthiest she has ever been in her entire life. And she sees that this is going to be her lifestyle moving forward.
Good.
You know, she loves the food she's eating. She learned how to cook. She loves eating clean. She loves exercising. And she said she never exercised a day in her life until she joined the study.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, it's just really exciting. And there's just so much more to come when we think about lifestyle.
Oh my God, big time. That's huge. The fact that you said not just was able to maintain or just slow down any degradation, it improved. I find that
Yes.
incredible. I'm not surprised by certain things, but like to hear that big of
Yes.
positivity out of it, that's
Yes.
fantastic. There's a couple of things like that I'm thinking out of it. I do have a question on the Pointer study, and I don't know if you know this information. Do you know the age ranges of the people that were included in it?
I believe, I think it was in here somewhere. I feel like it was 60, I think it was 60 to 80.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's definitely the time period that you would expect,
Yeah.
some degradation.
I
and
believe
whatnot.
it was, I think it was 60 to 80 because I really wanted to be in the study myself, but I was too young.
Gotcha. Maybe in a few years.
Well, yeah, in 3 years I'll
3
be
years.
60.
There
So
you go. You never know.
never know.
Another thing that I find very interesting about it. You also said the socialization part of it all.
Yes.
That's a key thing because the more isolated one gets, the harder things can be on mental health, physical health, all that. I'm very curious because obviously these studies take a long time to do. And as you said, this was like 5-6 years, and then there's going to be another 10 years, which is all good. It's all very positive. I'm very curious what it's going to look like 50 years from now when we're studying what social media has done to us and what
Yes.
the pandemic has done to us. Because in the last 5 years alone, we are in what many people call an isolationist pandemic and a loneliness pandemic.
Yes.
So I'm very curious what that's going to look like 50, maybe not even 50 years from now, even just 20 years from now. And I hope that gets included into the studies. Obviously, it's a little early with
Yes.
that to really say anything because we are living it currently. That also being said, the level of socialization in the older communities can really decrease naturally or inadvertently.
Yes.
Naturally where it's like people are just moving away and it's kind of tough to stay together. But then also on the other end, people passing away and your community lessens.
Agreed.
So that's kind of crazy to think about. So what was her name? Sharon? You said?
Yes.
That's so cool that she was able to find this kind of new life in a sense.
She did. She said she is a totally different person
Yeah.
than she was, and she would never go back. So it's interesting though what you say, and we've already seen it.
Mhm.
We've already seen the impacts of COVID and isolation, and the number of dementia cases just went through the roof right after COVID for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
First of all, there was the isolation. Second of all, nobody was going to their doctor
Yeah.
during COVID. So somebody could have been experiencing memory issues like the beginning of COVID, but for 3 years
Yeah.
didn't go to be diagnosed. So after things were being released and people were able to go and do things, we suddenly saw this massive amount of people being diagnosed with some form of dementia solely because of that isolation.
I'm not surprised by that. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I remember also talking with the American Cancer Society about how they were saying that for about 2 years, they had very, very skewed analytics.
Yes.
Because it's like, from 2020 to 2022, the diagnosis rate was
Dropped drastically because
low.
nobody was going.
But
Yeah.
you couldn't say that was because it was actually decreasing. It was because the ability to bring people in to actually diagnose,
Agreed.
that was decreased. And I know that really hurt both people with their diagnoses, but also really hurt research as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's interesting. Another thing that I want to talk about with that last thing, especially Sharon and that whole group with the Pointer study, having a structured routine to be able to, having that structured routine to be able to find the best you possible and have that certain level of health. I can't speak for other nations. Heck, I can barely speak for the US, but I can at least speak to my experience. The culture that we've set up for ourselves, at least around here, doesn't prioritize the self. We talk about being very independent and self-driven, but we don't actually focus on the self-health.
No, we don't.
We don't.
We don't.
We might talk about, it's like, do this for yourself, make sure that you follow your dreams for yourself, move out for yourself, do this for yourself, all these things. But not very often are we talking about prioritizing going to the gym, or it doesn't even have to be gym, just to walk around the neighborhood.
Well, that's it.
Or prioritizing the cooking more with a lifestyle of just going 1,000,000 miles a minute.
Yep.
You know, you're seeing a lot more of, you know, the ready to go meals, which not to say there's pros to it. I've also done a couple of them. If you start reading the ingredients, you see a lot of these things I can't pronounce and a lot of gums.
And that's bad.
I can't imagine that's going to be helping in the long run either.
No.
So and I've said this to many people a lot of times, like, dang, I just wish I had a diet coach like every single day and a physical trainer every single day. I'd be perfect. They talk about like the when Marvel heroes get into shape. Kamal Nanjiani, when he got in shape for Eternal several years ago, he was saying, it's like, oh yeah, this is totally possible for everybody as long as you have a health coach on you 24/7 and you sent to the gym, paid to go to the gym, and this and that. It's like, you can so totally do it.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's huge too. So I hope one thing that people get out of this, you do need structure. You do need routine. It might sound like counterintuitive sometimes, because it's like, oh, don't you want to be free and not be on top of it? There we go.
This is available on our website, alz.org. This is what we call the U.S. Pointer Brain Health Recipe. So this is taking all of what was learned. So physical exercise, 30 to 35 minutes of moderate to intense aerobic activity 4 times a week, plus strength and flexibility exercises twice a week.
Yeah.
Now, after this came out, I went into my Google Calendar and I have blocked out every day 30 minutes of doing some kind of exercise.
That's smart. I like that.
And I feel, and it's interesting, somebody said it to me once, you have to make it as important as a meeting with your boss. Like, you can't miss it. And you have to start looking at things differently and being like, I need to really start taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And I need to prioritize that. And I need to make it part of my calendar.
Yeah.
So just like I've got a meeting with my boss, I'm not going to miss a meeting with my boss. Now I either have workout or walk from 5 to 5:30 or 5 to 5:45.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm doing during that time. And I have to do that. And then just the food is also a big issue.
Oh, big time.
We have so much ultra processed foods in our country. And when I look at the list of foods that we eat that are banned in other countries, it's a laundry list. Every single cereal, every single cookie, candy, even soda is made differently in other countries.
Big time.
I think it's in Singapore. Singapore, their soda is only 5% sugar.
Wow.
That's it. That's all they allow. So we need to really take a step back and look at how is our country eating?
Yeah.
And how can we make it healthier? But how can we also make it that every single person has access to those healthy foods?
No, I hear you 100%. What was it? Back in May, I took a very, one might call radical change in diet, because I hit a weight that I did not like seeing and I never hit before. I was like, oh, geez. And, since May, I've been lucky enough to lose 20 pounds based on.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I got to a point of, being really unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I really started making a lot of lifestyle changes. Fortunately, I had a lot of prior attempts at lifestyle changes that I took from. It's like, all right, let's really try to do this. Added a few things. When it comes to different foods, I am pretty clean for the most part. Talking about beans, legumes, lean meats, veggies, fruit. That consists majority of my diet. I love smoothies now. I do the smoothie thing. I take a bunch of berries in the blender. But one of the things you mentioned about, like, not even to talk about the added chemicals that are in a lot of the foods, the added sugars too.
Yes.
When it comes to the added sugars, I normally get all natural peanut butter, which only has the natural sugar. By accident, just grabbed the wrong jar one day, and I got something.
I'm sorry, that just is blinking.
It's okay. That's just low battery. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
We'll get through this.
All right. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Thank you. And I grabbed the wrong jar. Not a big deal. And I looked at the sugar content. It's like, oh, okay, it's not terrible.
It wasn't too bad.
But when like actually tasting it, it's like, whoa, there's a difference.
Oh, yeah.
After getting so used to the all natural,
yep.
And then
because I use all natural too.
Yeah, and then going back to the more processed, more sugarized, and it's like, oh wow, this doesn't taste as good to me anymore. It's like it's overly sugared. It's just like
it's so funny. I mean,
it feels so artificial.
I only drink water and green tea.
Okay,
those are the only two things I drink. Friday nights, yes, I do have some wine, but when I want to treat myself. Root beer is my favorite beverage of all time.
Yeah.
And when I want to treat myself, I'll get a root beer. It is so sweet.
Yeah.
I can barely drink. It's like drinking syrup.
So then you're not as interested anymore.
No. So I really don't drink it that much anymore.
Have you ever had all natural root beer?
I might have.
All natural root beer.
Where it's clear.
It's clear.
Yes, I have had it.
I've only had it one time, and this was when I was living up in Albany. And I wish I could get my hands on that because it's clear, but it tastes the same, if not better.
Yeah, it just doesn't have all those additives to give it a color.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have the caramel coloring, which, a lot of people say how bad that is for you. Doesn't have the extra sugars. It's like, it's incredible. I was blown away when somebody gave me a cup of clear root beer. I'm like, no, I think you gave me seltzer. I'm sorry, you gave me seltzer. It's like, no, just take a sip. It is. And it was like, holy crap. No, so... I wish we could prioritize more of that when it came to sodas too.
Yes.
Because I think there is a better way of going about. There's a better way of going about a number of things.
Yes.
I could go on and on and on. I don't like. I honestly, I don't like the genetic modification of a lot of different foods either.
No,
because
I always get all organic. All my fruits are organic, and my blueberries, I always get frozen blueberries.
Yeah, I get a lot of the frozen fruits. Yeah,
frozen vegetables or frozen fruits retain more of their nutrients than fresh.
Yes,
because they're picked and they're automatically frozen.
Yeah,
and so
they picked at peak.
Yeah, they don't lose all of the nutrients in them. So all of the fruit that we eat, with the exception of like bananas or apples, is frozen.
Yeah, I do the same thing too.
Yeah.
That's what I get when I have my smoothies or if I just have like a cup of something to the side. I love doing that myself as well.
Yeah.
And also, it helps me if I don't like necessarily go to it right away. It doesn't go bad in the fridge. It stays in the freezer and it's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that works out really, really well. And you said that people can go online to find more on this and they can kind of like create a plan of their own based on this.
And the other thing I forgot to bring up was cognitive exercise.
Cognitive exercise.
So they're saying 3 times a week for 30 minutes doing some kind of cognitive exercise. Okay. So what was interesting was the cognitive exercise they used in this clinical study was a cognitive exercise that I used in a clinical study that I'm in.
Oh, okay.
Called Brain HQ. It's a website.
Okay.
It's very different than other games. And it was interesting because I love Brain HQ, but then I only play maybe 5 minutes, maybe 5 or 10 minutes a day.
Okay.
They had to do 30 minutes of Brain HQ, and they didn't like it. Brain HQ is not easy. Yeah. And there are a couple of the puzzles that they give you I can't figure out, and I get frustrated. So I could see if I was tasked with using Brain HQ for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I would get tired. But I do like Wordscapes, which is an app.
Yep.
There's a lot of games out there, apps.
Would they include like Sudokus or stuff like that?
Oh my gosh, yes. Word cross, Sudoku.
Yeah.
You want to do something that you're going to love doing.
Yeah.
And I think that was the issue they had with Brain HQ, even though that was the platform that they had everybody use.
Yeah.
Not everybody liked it.
Had a little aggravation there.
And they were kind of like, I don't know if I'll keep doing this. So that's the other thing. You have to make sure that what you're doing for your cognitive exercise, you're going to keep doing, that you love doing it and you can't wait to do it.
I'm curious where this stands. I play a lot of Wordle and I play a lot of Tetris, so I wonder how those fit. Tetris is a puzzle. Wordle is words.
You got to use your brain.
Yeah.
You just, as long as it's something that is stretching your memory banks, stretching your brain, really making you have to think.
Yeah.
That is that cognitive exercise.
There you go.
So, so it's a great study. You can Google it, US Pointer, but you can also go to alz.org and put in US Pointer, and then you'll have access to the recipe that just tells you how much, and the health monitoring, keeping check of your blood pressure and your weight and your cholesterol and all of that stuff.
Fantastic. And of course, we'll try to include that in the description of this episode, so you won't have to go very far on that. Very, very excited in regards to what's going on with all this. I'm very interested to read more, find more myself, see what lifestyle habits I currently have and how it matches up with this.
Yes.
I feel like that would be a very interesting thing for anybody. Now, we talked about the community and the socialization aspect before and how that's really important. You guys, as the Alzheimer's Association, love doing that with a number of different events. I've had the pleasure of being at a number of events that you guys have had. Let's talk about one of the big ones that you have on the Walkway Over the Hudson. This is going to be in October. This is the Walk to End Alzheimer's 2025, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about that. I know we're in August. I know some people are like, don't even get me thinking about the fall. It's going to be here in no time.
Yes.
So we ought to talk about it now.
So on August. See, you got me in the
I got
summer.
you saying October 18th.
October 18th, Walkway Over the Hudson. We start on the Highland side, is the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And this year, more than ever, we need to raise funds. Because of our current administration putting National Institutes of Health research funding on hold.
Yeah.
A lot of really vital research is not happening. And so what people don't realize is the Alzheimer's Association, we are the largest nonprofit funder for research. We are the third largest funder for research in the world. China's number one, US was number two. Right now, we're, of course, not there at all. So a lot of researchers are turning to us to fund their research so that they can continue to do this really important and vital work. So the Walk to End Alzheimer's, it's full mission focused. So the funds raised go towards, first of all, the care and support, so that we can provide all of the free programs and services that we provide. And then a portion of it goes towards research, so that we can, our vision is a world without Alzheimer's and all other forms of dementia. And the only way we're going to get there is through research. So if you go to alz.org/walk to end Alzheimer's, I believe, you can just click in your zip code. You can find the walk closest to you. We encourage everybody to start a team. It's a great day. We have entertainment, Connor, at the Walkway in Dutchess, Ulster. We have a kids tent. This year, we're adding a dog tent.
Oh, fun.
So we are going to have a local veterinarian service sponsor a dog tent, because we always have a lot of people bring their dogs. So there'll be bowls of water and treats and a place just for people to kind of chill with their dog. But we have a lot of fun.
Nice.
And it's definitely a family event. It's a great time. So October 18th, Walkway Over the Hudson. You can just go to alz.org and find the walk closest to you.
It gets packed. Last year was packed.
It was packed.
I got there so early because I needed to get set up on stage and whatnot. And even still, I parked like a mile away just because, and that was like before everything really got going.
Yes.
So that was nuts, but it is a beautiful event. It's fine.
And I'll just add, we do now have a celebrity who joins us. Last year
I was about to say,
last year was his first year.
Is he coming back?
But he is coming back.
Oh, that's cool.
So those of you who are 80s Brat Pack fans, Andrew McCarthy, is from Mannequin and all sorts of St. Elmo's Fire.
St. Elmo's Fire,
all of those.
He was also in Pretty in Pink, right?
Yes, he was in Pretty in Pink. Andrew will be there. to support the walk. He was there last year, kind of incognito to some extent, but he was
they
very
found
kind.
him and it became very
We all
public.
found him. He was very kind. He was very generous with his time, took pictures with folks. So there's just a little plug that, yes, we do have Andrew McCarthy joining us on the day of the walk
Amazing.
for the walkway over the Hudson.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. No, I'm excited about all that. Really hoping, and again, good weather. Fingers crossed for good
Fingers
weather.
crossed. It's always beautiful that time of year to go across
Oh my
the
God.
walkway. All the leaves are changing.
I know the
so-
foliage is so good. So it's just a matter of like, rain, hold off. Like we don't need you.
Wind.
Oh my God.
wind.
Because when you're up on the walkway, you're that high on elevation. You got to worry about that too with all the vendors, tents, various
tents.
things along those lines.
Yes, we've had tents fly before. So,
Yeah. Well,
yes.
I remember seeing that last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, so that's fun. But again, make sure that is on your calendar for later in the year. Again, that is in October. I nearly said August again. Jeez. Currently in August. Just became August. October 18th. So make sure that you have that on your calendar. We'll have all the links in the description of this episode. So Meg, as we're wrapping up this episode, people can find more info on this. We're going to try to link it back. Do you have any last little nugget that you want to share or just really hammer in for the Walsh Wednesday listening audience?
I think it's just important for everybody to know that our 24-hour helpline is there for them. 1-800-272-3900. You can be a caregiver. You can be someone newly diagnosed that just wants to learn more about what we do. You could be a concerned family member or friend or neighbor that is concerned about a loved one, and you're not quite sure how to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then alz.org is our website. We have a lot of information. We have online programs. We have a lot of fact sheets about things like driving and dementia, or how to get a proper diagnosis, or how to assist somebody with bathing or toileting. There's just so many issues that come up. We have resources for everything, every issue that you can think of. So please join us at alz.org, 1-800-272-3900.
Wow, incredible. Honestly, I feel like we could have an episode every week on something completely different.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, honestly, so good. So again, Meg, thank you for being here. And make sure you check out all the links in the description of this episode. And I hope to see you there on October 18th for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. Again, thanks so much for being here, Meg.
Thank you.
I'm Connor.
And I'm Meg.
And as always, we're glad we get to
spend some time together.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode. Much love to our sponsors this week: Impact PR and Communications, MHA of Dutchess County, Locks That Rock Hair Design, Dutchess Beer Distributors, A Touch of Naples Pizza and Pasta, the Council on Addiction Prevention and Education of Dutchess County, Tonka Williams on Aortic Health Awareness, Feldman, Kleiman, Collins & Sape LLP, Attorneys at Law, Walsh Valuation, and Dayrock. Thank you to our Walsh Wednesday All-Stars, all of those who have generously contributed to the Walsh Wednesday 2025 Fund Drive. You can see the list of names on screen or in the description of this episode. And of course, thank you to our Walsh Wednesday Warriors, Jim Robinson, John Newhall, Meg Boyce, and Jenna Hess. These individuals have pledged $100 or more to Walsh Wednesday for 2025, either through the GoFundMe or our Patreon. You can support this channel by becoming a Patreon member with memberships as low as $5 a month. With that, you can get behind-the-scenes content, your name featured in the credits of each episode, and access to the Spend Some Time chat. You can find that and more by scanning the QR code on your screen or by going to the links in the description. As always, I'm Connor Walsh, and I'm glad we get to spend some time.